So Nadia, thank you very much for the book. It was a compelling reading, and I was very much convinced by the way in which you describe how populism works. I'm not so sure whether I would follow you completely when you try to describe the causes of populism. So your main explanation would be this disaffection with traditional party politics, this anti-establishmentism, as you call it. While I would agree that this is a common trait from a phenomenological point of view of the different avatars of populism, I would think that I would say that in this case it would be useful maybe to do what you, for good reason, don't want to do, meaning recur to a social economics, or I would also say to a social psychological or political psychological explanation. I think things are different when it comes to form of populism like what you have in the US or in Brazil. Because in this case, I wouldn't say that the people who back Trump or Bolsonaro, I mean, you can't put them all in a basket. Of course, let's say there is a relevant amount of people who back these kind of populist regimes who are not so much interested in the lack of representativity or in the lack of democratic character of institutions. Rather, they vote for these people because it's a form of scapegoating the certain groups. It's really a completely different narrative of society and of their personal lives. And the impression is that these people would vote for Trump because they think that Trump will make suffer these groups that they think are responsible for how things went badly in society or in their life. This is at least what you notice when you look at empirical studies. Why is this relevant for you? Of course, you could say, well, this is just an empirical contingent matter of explaining different kind of populism. I think it's relevant because it shows that what is when you look at how democratic institutions work, one of the main issues is not only whether they are representative enough, for instance, but also which kind of, let's call it democratic or civic spirit they do foster, they do create. So in a sense, I would say that the fact that there is this strong resentment among these people, so strong that they would sacrifice democracy just to see these scapegoat, these groups suffer. And these are words that sometimes are used by these people in these interviews. This says something about the incapacity, the inability of democratic institutions to foster or to create a specific kind of democratic spirit. So, and in this sense, and then I stop here, I was a little bit, it made me curious, the fact that there is a great absent in your book, which is Tocqueville.
Yes.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Because, well, this would require a different book and another one. Because I had this idea, okay, this is the mechanic. I really need to understand the machine, how it works. I need to understand this, me the people, this actor who puts himself in a condition of reconstructing the people and declaring to be one thing with the people. The analysis that I made on these forms of like the prophets, the ventriloquist, the one who doesn't put his own ideas inside of his words, but he pretends that it is the people talking through him, like God talking to the prophets. This mechanism is crucial to understand because this is exactly what a representative system doesn't want to do. So it's a way of understanding what transformation is this one. It's an important one because when you have a transformation of this kind, you start listening these leaders who are telling you to be the people. Never before a party would say, I am the people. Never, no party would say so. But a leader can say so. This kind of Caesaristic leadership that creates the representation as a way of giving the right words to the people is what really I needed to understand how this works in democracy. Now, had I had the chance to write a continuation of this book, I would like to understand, the rhetoric and the constructions of the discourses based on the topics we are today dealing with. So the immigrants and the looking for the scapegoat, those who are the enemies against which to create ourselves, why this resentment, and whether in democracy, this moment of resentments, they come sometimes when the violation of the promise of equality comes. This is Tocqueville. When you promise equality and then you create aristocracies instead of in the church or in the social organization, or even in the institutions, that of course, in the name of equality, you have people who want to raise and to equalize and to go straight toward a kind of elimination of our internal intermediary organizations. We want to reestablish the rule of the people as a total equal as against those few or against those who replicate or wants to convince us that we are equal although we are not. So another chapter or another book would be the interpretation of equality. Importantly so, you mentioned Tocqueville, the interpretation of equality and how the issue of equality operates in relation to resentments. So after all, we are a democratic people, but we see the same people ruling us. After all, we've never have the chance to express our grievances and our representatives. We are outside of the radar of the few. So there is this dualism between the few and the many that needs to be analyzed much more than I could have done there. And it's so important today. I agree with you.